get started with a basic introduction of artificial intelligence in terms of what is a large language model, what is an LLM, how does it work, how does it function, and how does it take in an input and return us the expected results. So basically, I'm going to mention all the terms and explain them briefly. In this first video, I will explain all the terminologies we have heard about LLMs and how do they connect to each other and what are the relationships between each term with regard to an LLM. So you might have heard about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and prompts and LangChain, Llama Index, generative AI, RAGs. So basically, when you start learning OpenAI or when you start learning LLMs, you get kind of confused between how do you know in which flow you have to learn LLMs, what is the order, what is the correct order of learning LLM, and how do you understand how does an LLM work. So let me briefly explain how does an LLM work, what is an LLM, and how does it function. So I will first draw all the components or all the terms which we have heard about LLMs or like about deep learning or language learning models. Now let me first put define those terms. So I will later explain each term in good detail so we have an understanding of each component or of each term. So let's first write down about transformers. Then we have LLMs. Okay. Then we have something called prompts. Okay. Then we have LangChain. So please don't worry about all these terms. I am going to come to each of the term and explain them in good detail. Llama index. Then we have vector store. So basically, when you start learning about AI or when you start learning about large language models, you are presented with lot of terminologies and you are not sure about what each component, library, or framework does. So the basic idea for me to create this video is to explain each term so you get a good understanding of what each term means. Okay, so we have LangChain, Llama Index, Vector Store, then we have embeddings. Okay, then next we have agents, excuse me, and then we have pipeline. Okay, and then we have tokens. Okay, okay, so these are the terminologies or different uh, some of them are frameworks, some of them are libraries, some of them are concepts, some of them are to be handled in the databases like these vector store is a kind of a database or a persistent storage where we store all the vectors. So I'm going to explain in detail about what is a vector and how do we store them and how what is the relation between this part and the rest of the parts. So let's first understand about the first terminology, and that is about transformers. So let me bring it here. We'll expand it. So basically, what is a transformer? Transformer is it is not an entity, but it is kind of a framework. So it's a framework on top of which we can have different LLMs functioning. A transformer framework is nothing but it tells the LLMs to follow a particular framework in terms of taking the input, processing it, and generating the output. So it is like a framework is nothing but it is a set of rules or set of guidelines which has to be followed by any component or library or mm, any software which is built on top of that framework. Now, when we say about a transformer framework, okay, so I'm going to rename it to a transformer framework. So it's a broader term. So it's a broader term. And this is the framework which is kind of a base for all the other large language models to function. So what is a large language model? A large language model is you can consider it to be a very complex program, and this program has been built by providing it billions or millions of parameters. So when we create any computer program, and that particular program basically gives you, it takes some input and it processes it and it returns you an output. Now, when we talk about an LLM, in terms of LLM, it takes inputs like it has been programmed on billions of parameters, and we pass it an input when the user, say, asks the LLM a particular question, and in response the LLM, because it has been trained on billions of parameters, it will return back to you the result based on the code which it contains, or the business logic or the logic which it contains based on the billions of parameters. So that is an LLM. So an LLM in a very basic terminology is nothing but a program which takes input and gives you an output. Now that input depends on, like, it is actually coming from the user, but that LLM program has been trained or has been created by providing it with parameters, and the LLM accepts a user input, and then because of those parameters it will decide how to process that input, and it will give you back the output. So this is kind of a framework which each LLM needs to follow. Now when we talk about LLMs, there are different kind of LLMs, or there are various LLMs which are provided in the world today, and some of them are, like, let's say we have llama 2 from, which is an open source LLM, and this LLM was originally created by Facebook, and then it was open source. And we have a proprietary LLM from OpenAI which is called ChatGPT. Now, when we talk about LLM, the core idea here is the LLMs are good at, they have a definite purpose, like they are created for a specific purpose. So let's take an example. We write a particular program. When we write a program, we write it based on some purpose we want to achieve. Like we are writing a program, let's take, we are writing a program to handle a like a shopping cart. So the purpose of the program is restricted to the feature of adding, removing, or updating a shopping cart item. In the similar terms, we have an LLM, which is a program and which has been created to perform a particular purpose, and these tasks which are expected from an LLM, they are mainly like one is we have this, like LLMs are very good in answering questions. Like if we ask a particular question to an LLM, then it is very good in giving you an answer in an human like fashion. Like it would really be difficult for you to even think that this has come from other than like an human. It is an program who is having a conversation or chat with you. So LLM are good in answering questions, because see, when this program of LLM is created, they are created by providing, or by they are trained, or they are created based on billions of parameters, as I mentioned before. But these parameters, what are these parameters? These parameters are nothing but this is all the data which is available on internet. So the data which is available on internet has been fed into this program, and this program knows this data very well. And how does it know it very well? How is this program trained? How do we train an LLM? That is a different video that I will definitely provide a video in future. But right now let's think about an LLM, the basic concept of an LLM. Now, when we ask a specific question to the LLM, it will get the answer based on the data it has been trained on, or it has been programmed, which is from the internet. It can be from the database, it can be from the other applications, or CSV file or PDF. Whatever the data has been provided to the LLM for training, based on that data it will give you an answer. Now, that is one of the features of LLM. It is good at answering the questions and understanding your question and answering the questions. Let me give you an example. If you ask an LLM what is an apple, so it will understand about, it will have an understanding about apple. It will have an understanding that you are asking it a question, and it will exactly know what you are asking, and it will give you back the understanding about apple and not about the mangoes or oranges. So it knows exactly what you are asking, and it will give you back the exact answer. Now, second feature of LLM is about summarization. So if you give a lot of text to the LLM, suppose I am sending an complete book or a complete 10 pages of text to an LLM, then what in return I am expecting from LLM is to summarize that text and present to me a summary of all the text data which I have sent as an input to the LLM. So basically, LLMs are very good in summarizing text documents or large amount of text data. Now, third feature or third purpose of an LLM is to translate a language. So LLMs were also built for the purpose of translations. Now, when we talk about translating, so they can take in an as an input language, and they can process it and understand what is the source language, and they can return to you the output language in, if you have sent as an input an English text, they will understand it and they will translate it into Spanish or German, and they will return back to you the output. Now, the other feature of LLM is to for sentence completion. When we talk about sentence completion, so I can give an sentence to an LLM saying that uh, Jack and Jill. So when I say Jack and Jill went, so when I send this incomplete sentence to an LLM, so LLM will understand it and will process it. And if I ask LLM to predict or let me know what should be the next word or words, sequence of words. It is clever enough to understand the input and exactly know, and all this is because of the uh, trained data or the data which is used for training the LLM. So when you talk about the efficiency, and LLM which is more efficient is efficient because it has been trained on data, it has been trained on lot of parameters than the other LLM which is not so efficient. So these are all the different purposes of LLM, and what they were built for. So when we talk about, if we want an LLM, large language model, to create a image, or if we want an LLM to do some mathematical computation or some other task. So in those cases, LLMs are not good because they are not actually designed to do those things. They are only designed to process text and like take an input and process it and return back the output. So that is what is about an LLM. So transformer framework is something on top of which we have different LLMs which function. So I will drag this LLM box, and I will put it here. So I will just rename it to be LLM, and let's take an example. It can be a ChatGPT LLM, and we can have another LLM. Suppose I'm putting it here, and I can say it is Llama 2, which is an open source LLM. So the transformer framework is the basic framework, and on top of this, we can have different LLMs working. So this is my I will be creating a series of videos, and in this video, I have just given a brief overview of what an LLM is, and what is a transformer framework, what is an LLM, what is the core concept of LLM. And in the next videos, I will definitely create videos about other topics like what are prompts and other things, and I will just interlink those in this flowchart. Thank you very much.